Hey everyone, how's it going? It's still late night on Thanksgiving, but it's time to do a Friday, November 25th, Black Friday sports preview. I need to get it out of the way ahead of time. You never know if it might be a super busy day tomorrow. Holidays, I really like, actually. Holidays, this is the Sports Algorithm podcast. We're going to talk stories as well as sports. Holidays, historically, in my life, have been times when I can catch up on sleep and catch up on work because I can just focus when holidays are going on. It's like nobody else is in my ear. And so I got a million things done today outside of sports on top of keeping up with sports. So today I felt like I was able to balance all of them together. But that's only because everything else is closed. So it doesn't work this way every day. And I'm doing this for another 5 days, right? After 25th is what Friday is going to be. 5 days, we're going to do all these sports and continue doing videos. And then I have to take a break and move into more payroll and tax related issues, certainly for December and into January. So let's talk about football first. We had some Thursday games. And up until the Patriots game, things were going really well. Dallas wins a game that was fairly high scoring where we thought they'd cover by 7. They covered by 8, so they did not cover 10. So the Giants spread pick wins. Patriots don't win, and they look like they had chances. You can see that they just came up short, and their defense for some reason suffered against Minnesota's offense at home. So that's a miss for the algorithm. In that sense, the odds makers do better than the algorithm in NFL for Thanksgiving because the odds makers appropriately had Minnesota covering. However, we did get the Giants and we did get Detroit covering. This was a really close one. I mean, if you bring this magnifier down to about 5, I bet you keep that score almost exactly right. Look at that. Look at that. That means that the algorithm's doing a pretty good job. Yeah, exact score at a magnifier of 4.9. And surprisingly enough, look at this. Well, apparently the magnifier needs to be down around 5. Look at this. Except for the Minnesota game, this gets these other two almost exactly right. So we'll actually leave the magnifier at 5 when we look at the rest of the week. If you want to glance at Sunday and Monday, well, here they are without wins and losses yet, because that's just going to screw you up. And it's got the Niners over the Saints, but it does a bad job predicting the Saints. Colts over Pittsburgh. Lots of favorites up here. I don't see an underdog all the way down here till the Rams over the Chiefs, and the projected margin victory is -1. So the cutoff line is right here. And if you were to sort this and say that the projected margin of victory is greater than 0, like you're supposed to, you would see that it does favor the Chiefs barely over the Rams. But a really low scoring game for some weird reason. That's a very odd score. Um, it could just be Thanksgiving's a little lower scoring because it's Thursday and players are tired from just playing on Monday. So this really it should be all the way up here at 5.5. We'll see. So that's football. Let's talk about hockey because there's a huge slate of hockey tomorrow. And I wanted to talk about, I sold the NHL algorithm for the first time in a long time yesterday. And I sent another copy of it today. And I want to talk about when you update the NHL algorithm, because this is the only one other than football, really, where you need to update every single game and make sure you have a complete history of wins and losses in here. Because we use this thing called streaks, which is related to how well the team is playing over the last 15 days, 30, 45. And that's heavily figured into our pick rank. And it's something we absolutely look at. And on Wednesday, a ton of teams blew their streak. Like, oh, so many teams that had won so many games lost. St. Louis had won a ton, they lost. Boston had won a ton, they lost. Jersey had won a ton, they lost. Somebody else too. Was it? I can't remember. A lot of losses. So hockey is also a very, very difficult game. It's not like college basketball, which we'll talk about towards the end of this video because some of the games are still going on. But hockey itself, it's still, you do get some good lines. It's built more for straight bets and good lines, I feel like. So we don't have confirmed goalies yet. And I have to update that tomorrow. So you're just getting a really, really glanced look at some random potential goaltenders that might be in there. I think Cap should start going with Lindgren more. I didn't go to the recent game, but Darcy Kemper just has not been feeling like a championship goaltender. Lindgren, he's a opposite-handed goalie. He's got the glove on the right hand and the blocker on the left hand. And he also, he had a really great rating for St. Louis last year. I think he's got heart. We'll see if his stats can meet up with that, but I think Cap's defense is just having issues. So just preliminarily, it does say Jersey over Buffalo and only minus 155. Then Pittsburgh over Philadelphia, but that line's not great. And then the Islanders, who are really playing well against Columbus, that's a pretty bad line, but not that awful. Islanders are playing really good, as you can see with, not just be saying that, but it says only won half their games, but previously, they still haven't had a 15-day period where they're not winning at least half their games, basically, is what that means. But you can see the strength of Jersey getting a bunch of goals disallowed against Toronto the other night, so that they still played really well. So that's a quick look at hockey. Now let's talk about NBA, because there is also a big slate on Black Friday for NBA. Injury report tomorrow will be really, really important. At some time, on Friday. It looks like the games start at 5 p.m. So look for like 3 or 4 p.m. in the Google Sheet. I will run an injury report on this and post it up there, because that'll probably be decent for the rest of the day. But you can see amazingly ridiculous numbers with people out. 36% is insane. 64 is even ridiculous. 53, like what is happening here? This requires actual review of going in and looking, saying who is out on Miami. And you can just like click things. You can use these slicers over here, like Miami, what's going on? And you'll see that Miami has a bunch of game time decisions, no COVID, but it's a bunch of random bone and joint injuries. And you don't know if that's like pre-Thanksgiving, I don't want to play, I want to go hang out with family and the kids, right? It could be that too, but we'll see what that says tomorrow. It makes me not want to review these games all that much, because you just can't, other than the Pelicans over the Grizzlies at a reasonable underdog. Here's an underdog of the Jazz, of course, against the Warriors. Warriors have been a weird team this year already, and Trailblazers over the Knicks, but injuries. Yeah, it looks like a tough NBA day. So let's talk about a sport that is not tough. A sport that it's tough to lose money on if you're using the algorithm. You're looking at a 17-1 day, not only by money line, but also by spread so far. I can't ever remember having a day where we were 17-1 on the spread. There are still games going on. We're going to update some scores right now, even though these games are probably not done, but getting closer, just because we want to take a look at what's possible today. So basically, the algorithm had one of those days where using current stats gives you an advantage over using past year stats and past year thoughts about teams. It's clear with these kind of numbers. And this is not really an accurate spread. It's really this thing over here that tells you whether or not we covered the spread. This is the proper formula that's looking at the projected scores, which are over here. So, I mean, let's just take a look, because there are some games that are at least in the second half right now. And so, yeah, so the big one's going to be, can West Virginia come back, because they're down by 10 right now. But Fresno State is losing by 3 with 6 minutes left, but Vanderbilt still looks like a good team in that game. 47 Purdue over West Virginia, and Alabama is up at halftime, and Alabama has been down in that game, but they also look like a really strong team. So if we were to finish off something like that, you could potentially go 19-2, depending on whether or not West Virginia can come back, right? And 18-3 on the spread. And I mean, sorting this thing by spread cover, which is like how much we thought the team would cover the spread by, is what this thing is. I mean, that's top 10 games by spread. Then you would lose Alabama, by the way. You'd lose Vanderbilt, which is not over. We don't know if we've lost that yet. It almost makes you want to remove those games I just told you about, because they're not done, and I don't want to finalize it until they are. So, I mean, you've got a 16-1 day right now. Is that true? Wow. What else did I just get? Did I get anything else? Yeah. Tennessee played Southern California, though. Hold on a second. That happened. And Tennessee versus Southern California score.
They won 73-66 today against USC.
Yeah, they did. I mean, there was a lot of close covering, and that pops up on here as a win. So you're 17-1 right now. I mean, just Manhattan. And by the way, they were ahead with 0 seconds left. And the team had a free throw, ended up tying it up and went to overtime, and they lost in overtime. So they still covered they covered also. So it's like the only thing it doesn't cover is all the way down here is Oklahoma doesn't cover. No, that's not true. Oklahoma did cover against Nebraska. Oh, they had to cover 10 and they only finished 69-59. So that's a push, actually. It's not even a not cover. It's not even a loss, right? Oh my God. No, wait a minute. What was the spread? Oh, they did cover. What's going on here? Oklahoma. Oh, the score said they wouldn't cover. That's right. But they actually covered. So it's wrong. You're right. So anyway, today's looking unbelievable. I don't have tomorrow yet because I don't have odds yet. But I wanted to say that I know it looks great. I mean, this is very abnormal. I mean, this is really unbelievable. Like if you go 17-1 on the spread for a few days in a row, I don't know how you're not a millionaire if you're just doing round robins like that. You just can't. Like if you did 6, 6, and 6, like you won 2 of your round robins completely, or you won your parlays outright. If you did anything on this, you just got zoinked out with Manhattan, and we'll see what happens with the last 3 games. But basically, I mean, it's unbelievably incredible. There's no other way to describe that, because as a human being, let me explain why I didn't make a fortune today. Now my night's not over. I have a chance to win like a few $100s or something overall, but I would have had a chance to win thousands of dollars if not for what? Get this. This is how bad. I just have to tell you how bad I am at betting, because I'm great at creating these algorithms, and they're saying something like take Butler over BYU. And you know what I did? I was like, oh, see this terrible strength of schedule right here. They just lost last night. I used some recency bias like a stupid human. And I was like, yeah, they just lost last night. It's terrible strength of schedule means they probably won't beat BYU. This is like a tournament game or something. So I took BYU and they lost. And I lost to the algorithm yet again. The algorithm's just smart. Just don't think. Just listen to it. So I lost that game. You know what else I did? I took Nebraska plus 5.5 because I thought this game was supposed to be super close based on the projected score. So I listened to the algorithm and I picked off one of those games where the spread doesn't win. See that? The only one. I bet it. I mean, I could have just bet Oklahoma to win at minus 275 and shut up, or just not taking the game because it's too far down on the list and the margin is too close. Good on that. Well, let's look at this thing by margin again. It's just I feel like it was therapeutic to discuss why I'm terrible at betting. Because all you have to do is just take money lines, take spread lines, whatever the spread is when you sort it, and you win 94% of the time, my favorite number, and probably more. So there are 2 games, late night games though, happening after midnight, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. It thinks that Gonzaga does not even come close to covering this 28.5. It says Portland State makes it a much closer game. So in that sense, I bet sort of against the algorithm, but sort of with the algorithm. I took Portland State plus 28.5 because I don't think anybody tries to win a game by 30. I think they try to win games. So I said that's probably a good bet that wins more than 50% of the time. It's 28.5 points. I mean, if you just try to play defense the whole game, you can try to stop them from scoring 30. It's still cover that. It also says that St. Mary's covers, but it's still got to cover 10.5 over Washington. So, I mean, that's kind of the review of Thanksgiving, and we touched on a bunch of sports there. I'll be back Friday for like a recap situation, or maybe I'll do shots of the day hockey, or I don't know. I feel like I'm fighting something off myself. It's been exhausting, but I mean, like I said, I got so much done today. Like I got like 3 check marks off the list of separate work done today on top of all the sports, and college basketball has a 17-1 so far spread. I mean, what on earth? Like that's what it's doing is like, this is why it's so good. So it picked underdogs today, right? It picked 5 underdogs, 6 underdogs. It won. The only one it lost was Manhattan. Like I said, free throw at 0 seconds left ties it up, takes it to overtime. They tried. They came back. Like it's still tried. And West Virginia may lose. So it may go 4-2, but that doesn't matter. I mean, you're hitting a 105, a 142, 114, and a 320 with Siena, which I decided not even to bet the plus 8.5 because I have terrible instincts. I looked at that strength of schedule differential, told everybody in the email, look at the strength of schedule differential. They're probably going to lose this game with those. That's what happened yesterday. Sure enough, didn't matter. They win today. Doesn't even matter. And all you can say to that is when you have a factor like that that is weighing negatively upon the team of reference here, they win some and they lose some. Today they won it, and you look silly not playing it. Yesterday you look super smart not playing it because they lost, right? Like if you look at yesterday, you can see that we lost with a bad one with Kent State, right? And it just switched around, but it's just the example is kind of that right there. So, anywho, I'll be back tomorrow at some point talking about the games because I'm gonna bet really big 15 team parlays that pay like 50 or 100 grand. Like I had some fun with that today and doing it with college basketball because I'm sure there are a ton of games tomorrow. I mean, I'm sure there are, right? Let me just look up the fan real quick. Just off the top of my head, Black Friday college basketball games with tournaments and everything, because they try to give some of the kids some time off on Thursday. Like, some of them have families, right? At 11 a.m., 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 20, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 plus games tomorrow is the answer to that question. So I will wake up before 11 for sure. Well, I mean, you can't guarantee anything, but I will try to wake up before 11 and update this and send out the email because it will probably yield another day where you do extremely well, and it's probably not going to be 94%. Even this day might not finish at 94%, but over 90%. I mean, anything over 90% in sports betting spells extreme profits. That's all you need to know about 90%. So, I mean, I hope your picks won today. If your picks didn't win today and you used the algorithm, tell me how. I told you how I lost by being a silly Willy, by betting Manhattan because I have terrible luck, and by betting teams that are not on the correct side of this list. I mean, hey, what am I asking for? Because I didn't lose. I was Seton Hall was down, should have lost. I thought the game was over. They called the score final, and after the buzzer, they won 70. They hit a 3-pointer after the buzzer. Did it count? It's like, what happened? It was huge. Underdog again was like things really went right today, and it doesn't happen like that every day. I cannot promise you this, but it happens today, and this algorithm just, it just has ways of making the numbers mean something. All right. So, like I said, if your picks didn't win today and you use the algorithm, tell me what you did in the comments because I'd like to know. Otherwise, I would say your picks probably won. So, good luck and enjoy.